next. Joining us from Capitol Hill, Chairman of the House Freedom Caucus and member of the Oversight and Government Reform Committee, Republican Congressman Mark Meadows of North Carolina. Congressman, thank you for being on the show.
It's great to be with you. Thanks.
So there is concern. There's new polls that show a lot of people are concerned that more people will be uninsured under this new plan. This GOP plan in its form, Paul Ryan says it's their last shot to fulfill the promise of repealing and replace. Do you think this bill should go through?
You know, really, when we look at this, there's two fundamental things. One, we know that Obamacare can't stay because it's failing already. But the other is we need to make sure that the plan we put forth not only has the coverage that you're talking about, that you're leading in with, but the more important thing is that premiums come down. And it's our position of the House Freedom Caucus that this plan, the current plan, doesn't go far enough. And so we are working on amendments as we speak to hopefully make it better. But at this point, we've got to do better for the American people.
Okay. I want to go back to you said that Obamacare can't stay because it's failing. Can't it be amended? Can't it be worked on so that it's improved instead of going back to square one?
Well, you know, we've been asking the Democrats to do that for a very long time, and quite frankly, until now, they haven't even shown a willingness. And even talking to some of my Democrat colleagues over the last week, there still is not a willingness to try to do that. You can take North Carolina, for example. Our premiums have gone up 30, 35%. And again, 30% this year. We're down to one carrier. That's unsustainable for the people that I serve. But it's not just North Carolina. It's from New York to California and in between. And so what we must do is make health care affordable. I think most people, when they judge our plan, our replacement plan, they're going to open their insurance bill, and when they look at that, they're going to say, did it go down? If it did, we will have succeeded. If it doesn't, then they will have judged it as a failure.
What Democrats do not want to work on trying to improve Obamacare? Because every Democrat we've talked to have said it absolutely needs improvements. Understood. But,
you know, it's interesting. You're talking to them there. I'm talking to them here on Capitol Hill. Okay, you know, so Chuck Schumer has come out and said, you know, don't expect us to help fix this. I mean, he's made public statements, and so as we look at that, there's no one who has reached out to the Democrats more than I have, because I believe that as we look at this, how do we fix something that it is inherently a government-run program? That normally I've not found too many things the government does well other than defend our country. And so here we are today trying to fix something that we've had 3 years of history already on why it has been a failure.
Mark Halperin.
Congressman, I'd love to bring some of these negotiations that are going on between your group and the leadership in the White House into the open so Americans can understand what the discussions are like. Can you talk specifically about the provisions you're insisting be changed to have a House bill that can win your support?
You know, really, again, it's about those premiums. So one of the things that we're looking at is right now, under the Obamacare, you've got to offer 4 different types of program, a bronze, silver, gold, platinum plan. And really, we don't give insurance companies any flexibility other than offering those with a certain type of benefit. So we can't do higher deductible plans. We can't actually tailor it to each particular person. So we're looking at that.
Could you just tick off the other provisions in the current bill that you insist be changed to win your support, besides being able to offer different kinds of plans?
If we can look at the insurance mandates and some of those requirements that are in Obamacare now and look at a repeal, then the replacement becomes much easier as we look at that. And so it's that as we look at some of the Medicaid issues, we're trying to work with our more moderate members on that. And as we look at this, what we have to do is the CBO score recently talked about lowering premiums by 10% over 10 years. But if you look, for the vast majority, those 40 and older, actually premiums go up. And so for me and the people that I serve, you know, I've made a commitment. I'm not going to take one program that is not working well and replace it with another one that potentially won't work well. We've got to do better on the replacement side of that.
Congressman Meadows, it's Willie Geist. Good morning. Good to see you. As you know, there are more than 500,000 people state of North Carolina who enjoy health coverage because of the Affordable Care Act, who got it on the exchanges there. Can you tell them affirmatively that they will all be taken care of under the new Republican plan?
You know, I can tell you that what we're doing right now is with those. I was on the phone with our insurance commissioner in North Carolina looking at this plan and looking where we go with that. And that any plan that ultimately gains my support and the support of the majority of the GOP conference will not only make it more affordable, but certainly will put it in a place where more people can do that. North Carolina is a good example as we look at that. We had high risk pools before the Affordable Care Act. And so as we do that, it's making sure that I work with my insurance commissioners, those elected officials, both Democrat and Republican, to make sure that not only they have access to care, but they have lower care, and those that need a safety net, that we're there to do that.
Congressman, you used a key word there. You said they have access to care. These 550,000 people currently have that care. They have to get pulled off and then find it again. That sounds cumbersome to them, or perhaps that they'll lose it altogether.
Well, tell me about it. That was the promise that Obama made to us. If you keep your health care, you can keep, if you like it, you can keep it.
But they have it now.
Well, and they have it now, but it's not sustainable. That's what I was talking about earlier. What's happening is we're down to one carrier, Blue Cross Blue Shield, in most of North Carolina, and they're talking about the potential of pulling out just because it's not economically feasible. So it's a matter is, do we act now to make sure they're protected, or do we allow it to collapse? I think that that is not a prudent decision, and so we're going to act now to make sure that they have health care and can keep it.
So this isn't some grand policy debate to those 550,000 people in North Carolina. So what would it look like to them if Obamacare is repealed with a new bill? What process would they go through? How long would it take before they get coverage again?
Well, when we really look at that, it has be a transition. One of the things that we're looking at is either a 2 or a 3-year transition, and so I've been willing to be very flexible in terms of perhaps even supporting more liberal policy in that short term to make sure that there is a smooth transition, because our bad planning in Capitol Hill shouldn't create a crisis for patients and others. And
so no coverage gap then.
That's exactly right. We've got to make sure that we don't have that, and we're committed. In fact, I'm not going to vote for anything that doesn't have that, to make sure that we don't leave them in the lurch.
Mike Barnacle.
So, Congressman, what happens in that short term that you just described if your child gets sick and you're on Obamacare now, something that benefits you, a benefit that you enjoy, that gives you peace of mind, but in that short term that you just described, when you have no insurance, your child is sick, what do you do?
I tell you, as a father and as someone who knows that when your child is sick, there's nothing more important to you than that. That's one of those times when you hope it comes to you instead of your child. Again, that's why we have this transition period. It's not saying that we pass this. If we pass this tomorrow, they're going to continue to have the same coverage that they have under the Affordable Care Act as we transition people in a systematic way into something that is cheaper and that actually makes their health care affordable. I've got people having to make choices between putting food on the table and buying their insurance or making mortgage payments. This is unsustainable the way it is. But again, it's making sure that we have a good transition period. I'm committed to do that. I think all of my colleagues are on the Republican side, and even some on the Democrat